Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code drasin12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Well, welcome to Rick's Corner. I have Doug Brignoli back, and everybody keeps saying we want Doug, and they love the two of us together. And I do too, because we always find so much to talk about.
Click and clack.
Yeah, or frickin' frack, and I have frickin' frack. My turtles are called frickin' frack. But there's a lot to talk about, and you have a tremendous amount of knowledge. And we're going to talk about this later, but just hold your book up for 1 second. You see this book? See how thick that? Show me how thick that book is. This is all of Doug's knowledge just on fitness and body mechanics alone.
600 pages.
And it's in detail.
This is just biomechanics. It's not physiology.
No, I know that. And
it's just mechanics.
Since it's the beginning of the show, just talk about it for 1 second. Where's this book available?
Well, you can email me at dbfitness@aol.com. You can buy it through PayPal. It's $50. My username there is the same, dbfitness@aol.com.
Yeah.
$50 US. And then the PayPal thing has your email address there, so you don't even have to send me an email. Once I see it, I just send it to you by way of Dropbox.
And the reason I'm even bringing this up is because Doug has so much knowledge and things we talk about on the show, and you guys love what he talks about. Now you can have it in the book as a reference, and you can refer to all these things plus more that we haven't even discussed yet. So I wanted to say this at the beginning of the show because people tune in and sometimes they turn off towards the end. You know, they don't want to not see it. So it's almost better to talk about it now because it is available. And I believe in you, and I believe in your book and your knowledge. So that's why you're sitting here with me today.
It's useful information. It cuts a lot of the waste.
Yes, it does.
A lot of the wasted energy, wasted time,
all right,
and injury risk.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit, because I have a lot of people who want to know about Mike Mentzer and his brother, how they train with the Arthur Jones method, and Casey Viator and all those guys that trained down in DeLand, Florida when Arthur Jones was alive. Did you ever meet him?
I never met Arthur Jones, but Mike Mentzer and Ray Mentzer I did.
All right, what do you think about their training to exhaustion and then taking those days off?
Well, you know, the heavy duty thing was maximum effort. You know, their theory was that you do fewer sets, but you don't waste anything. You get the most out of each individual set. You maybe do 1 or 2 warm-ups in, and then you blast it with 1 set with drop sets, and that's it. That's been refuted, actually, scientifically now. They've done a number of comparison studies, and they found there's really no way that you can trade intensity for volume. You really do need to have a certain number of sets.
Okay.
So you're going to get better results if you do, let's say, as an example, 10 slightly sub-maximal sets, as opposed to 5 totally maxed out sets.
Okay.
And they've discovered that, you know, a set that's 95% maximum effort or 90% maximum effort is essentially as productive, in some ways more productive, than a 100% to failure set, because if you blow it out, you suffer on the subsequent sets.
Oh yeah.
If you do 90 to 95% effort, you can do more sets total.
Well, their theory was if you did 4 days, I don't know how they spaced them out, then you have your rest days in between to recover from everything you've done.
Right.
It makes sense, but somebody asked me the other day about bench presses and, hey, how heavy did you bench? I said, I was way in the 400s. Did you do this every workout? No. I mean, you can't do it every workout.
Right.
And you can't go to max every workout. Your body just can't recover.
And they have done studies on this too. Again, my expertise is biomechanics, but I still read the physiology reports.
Yeah.
And the study that was done showed that, you know, you cannot train to maximum effort and compensate for it with just an extra day or 2 of rest.
Right.
It's like going out and getting a sunburn.
Right.
Right. If you get a sunburn, now you have to wait until you heal.
Yeah.
Right.
It might take longer.
Then you have to start all over again because now you have fresh new skin. Right. So you cannot just blast a workout and say, well, I'll just take an extra day. They don't equal out that way. They've done studies that have shown there's a maximum useful intensity. Beyond that or below that, you have less benefit.
All right. Now, Arthur Jones wasn't really a bodybuilder.
Not at all. He was a smoker, in fact. He was
a smoker, and he carried a gun.
And he carried a gun, and he drank, and he was just a crazy guy.
Crazy guy, but he invented the Nautilus machine.
Now,
right?
that's what I wanted to say, was the Nautilus machine did not necessarily coincide with this heavy-duty Mike Mentzer thing. In other words, max all-out 1 set was not related to the Nautilus cams.
All right, the only reason I even bring that up is because he brought these guys down to train with him in DeLand, Florida.
Yeah.
and Casey Viator.
His zoo down there. He had a compound with animals.
He had a compound. And the Nautilus machine, he would have them go to failure on his machine until they would throw up.
Yeah.
He said, this is how you have to train. Well, of course, they made good progress. They came back, and these guys, who knows?
Of course, you know, if you're taking enough supplements, you know, you can recover better than those who can't.
I was going to get into that, actually. Yes, they were taking a lot of supplements, as we know, and we don't mention what they are exactly, but we know they were. This is why they were recovering.
If you were without the supplements, you would probably not recover from that kind. I mean, there is a thing called rhabdomyolysis.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
No, it doesn't sound very good, though.
It's well, short is rhabdo.
Okay.
It's common, by the way, in CrossFit. In other words, if you train too hard, you have damage to the muscles that leaks toxins into the bloodstream and then goes to the liver.
Well, I had no idea.
This is called rhabdomyolysis. Look it up. I think it's RHABDO, rhabdomyolysis. And you can actually cause not only muscle damage, but kidney damage.
I didn't know that.
If you train too hard, yeah, absolutely.
Well.
Which is why you could pass out.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a systemic assault. Not just a muscle assault.
I had no idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Arthur Jones put them through their paces down there, and I guess they stayed for a while. And, you know, back then, any type of training that you would do, you want to experiment because you don't know where it's going to go. And they made gains, but like you say, they were doing their supplements as well. But I don't know about that. I mean, explain the CAM method, because it's interesting to know how this thing works.
Right. Well, a cam is an oblong pulley. Now, if you have a circular pulley, right, and the pivot is right in the center, when that wheel turns, the distance of the cable from the center of the pulley stays the same, so the resistance stays the same.
Right.
But when you have an oblong pulley and you have a wider part and a narrower part, when the shorter part swings around, the resistance diminishes.
Right.
When the wider part of the cam swings around, the resistance increases. Now, this was supposed to match the strength curve of your muscle.
This is basically like the gear ratios of a transmission.
No, actually, it's not. That's a little different. Although I will give you a comparison to that in just a minute. This is actually like.
I mean, without shifting gears.
Yeah, no, this is different because you have it's almost like if you had a sprocket of a wheel, but the sprocket of the wheel was oblong.
Okay.
When you change the wheel, it's a whole different thing. But yes, I guess indirectly you could say it's similar. But the point was that it would have been okay if two things had been present. One was that it indeed did match the strength curve of the muscle, meaning that it was harder at the beginning of the range of motion and easier at the end of the range of motion, the way muscles' strength curve is, and if the actual movement was anatomically correct. And some of the movements were brilliant. Like he had one where you start high and you do like a decline fly.
Right. Yes.
That's a brilliant movement.
Yes.
Okay, but the pullover is not. The pullover is not a brilliant movement. There's no actual muscle that does that. I mean, muscles always pull toward their origin, so you'd have to say, in which direction is that movement going, and is there an origin there?
All right, well, let me ask you a question, because back in the days when they didn't have these machines, and you'd see like different about 50s bodybuilders, they would take a dumbbell, lay on a bench sideways, and do a pullover.
Right.
In between chests to expand the rib cage. And they had big rib cages back then, right? And they had the vacuum.
Well, did they have big rib cages back then? In other words, that was what they said.
In photos they did.
It's pretty hard to imagine that you can actually expand bone once you're an adult. But let me also say that if I was going to expand your rib cage, the only way I could do it, A, is if your ribs had not yet solidified.
Okay.
And B, if I could climb inside your rib cage and push it outward.
Right.
That's how you expand anything, right? You push from the inside out.
Yeah, of course.
Well, a pullover isn't doing that.
No.
Right? So yes, you feel a stretch.
Yeah.
But certainly not the kind of from the inside outside kind of push that would expand anything.
These bodybuilders back in that day believed this is what they did.
They believed it, of course.
It's in writing. This is what we're doing.
Well, I know it's in writing, but I can write anything.
And I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But this is what they said. They're expanding. And of course, going back and feeling the stretch, you do feel like it's expanding. Not that it is, but it is stretching.
It's stretching.
And that's what the Nautilus pullover machine actually does. It stretches it.
Yeah, it stretches it. I mean, it involves the lats. It involves the rear deltoids. But it doesn't work those muscles as well as other exercises do. And that kind of joint movement on the shoulder is not all that great.
Yeah. I remember doing it at Gold's, and we would do it. We wouldn't hold on and do it, but we'd put our hands here, and we'd come down, and we'd put our hands to our stomach, and then crunch as we came down, just for a different variation in the movement. And it felt pretty good.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that we can experiment with and feel good in the gym.
Yeah.
But my belief, and this is just a sensible, logical thing, that there has to be a set of rules, right? In other words, what makes a bicep curl a bicep exercise?
Yeah.
Well, the fact that the insertion of the muscle is moving toward the origin. That has to be present, right? There's a shortening, there's an extending, right? If I put you on your side and I give you a dumbbell and I say curl this dumbbell while you're on your side, guess what? You're not going to get much bicep tension.
Not much at all.
Right? Because the direction of the resistance isn't going the right way.
Right.
It has to go opposite your concentric movement. Right? So there are rules, right? Yeah. And the more you conform to these rules, the better the quality of the exercise. Yeah. And once you realize there's about 12 or 13 rules, you say if you conform with all of them, you have the highest rated exercise. You have one that rates a 9 or a 10. If you only conform with 2 or 3 of these rules, then you have an exercise that maybe has a value of 3 or 4.
Okay.
So when I tell people, like, the idea that you always have to switch up the exercises would only make sense if you're switching from a 10 to a 10. Or a 10 to a 9 to a 10. But you're going from a 10 to a 3, 10 to a 4. Anytime you decrease the value of the exercise, the muscle doesn't care that it's new. It only cares that it's not as good.
Yeah, it has to respond to
In fact, I tell people, like, look, if you go out into the sun and you're trying to get a suntan, you start plateauing in the sun, and you figure, well, I got to switch it up. Should I use, incandescent light?
Yeah.
Should I use
or should I go out into the moon?
Ultraviolet light? Should I use infrared light? No, because it's, as it turns out, sunlight, UVB, UVA, has to be present, right?
Yeah.
Well, that same thing with bodybuilding or muscle building. Certain things have to be present in order for this thing to qualify as stimulating to the muscle.
I think a lot of people have forgotten over time the reason for their even working out, because if you remember back when you started and I started, you had a certain feel in the gym when you worked a muscle. You got a certain pump. You did what worked for you, and it worked really well. Now they go to the gym and they just throw weights around, not really feeling what they're doing.
Well, I mean, it's commercialization.
Yeah.
It's over commercialization. I mean, when you look at people doing things that basically mimic somebody digging a ditch,
Yeah.
right? And you say, what's the point of that? Well, it's commercialization. Someone said this is a good exercise, and no one bothered to ask for what.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many people, which I'd like to get in another subject at some point. I went to a couple of dinners this past week, and people come, gee, Rick, I want to get in shape, and I'm at the gym. I'm doing cardio every day, and I'm not losing any weight. I said, because you're doing cardio every day.
Yeah.
You need to do something else, and you need to watch your diet.
Yeah.
And then they go through the diet, and then they don't want to hear what I have to tell them. Well, I can't eat like that. I said, well, then you're not going to lose weight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people want you to tell them what's convenient.
What they want to hear.
And it's like, look, there's certain rules apply, whether you like the rules or not. Certain rules apply.
All right, so you think that the volume training is better than what Mentzer's was doing?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the cams are a good idea as long as the motion is anatomically correct and as long as the cams do in fact match the strength curve of the muscle. And you cannot trade intensity for volume. You do need volume. Brad Schoenfeld has done some great studies on that sort of thing, but he's not the only one. You definitely need a certain number of total. Back in the olden days, the Arnold Schwarzenegger days, right?
I think I can remember
the
some
Rick
of
Drasin
that.
days. It was typical to do 4 exercises per body part, 5 sets each.
Yes.
We did 20 sets of body part.
Or it was 3 exercises of 10 reps.
Right.
You go way back.
And people would always look for like a magic number. What's the magic combination? Is it 10 of 10 or 5 of 20?
Of course,
right?
of course.
It's like it doesn't work that way.
No.
Right? It depends on where you're at.
It also depends on
level-wise.
the person.
Yeah, but it depends on where you're at. If you're in a novice, you can tolerate fewer sets.
Yeah.
When you're advanced, you tolerate and need more sets.
Right.
That's just the way it is. You just like 10. I mean, if you accommodate an hour of some, pretty soon you need 2.
Yes.
Pretty soon you need 3. Right? And pretty soon an hour does nothing.
Right.
Right. So that's the way the body adapts. Anyway, the point is that you would do 20 sets. And you would swear that the reason why you were getting the good results was because you did 4 exercises. No, the truth is it was because you did 20 sets.
That's true.
If you would have picked one good exercise and did it for 20 sets, you would have had as good or possibly better results.
And some people did that.
And I would say to people, look, everyone sort of blames or gives credit, I should say, to the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You need volume. You need X number of sets.
Yeah.
And now it may not necessarily be 20. I'm not saying that's the right number for everyone. But the fact is that more is always better than less if you've adapted to the less.
I remember training at Steve Davis's gym back in the 80s, and I would do I remember coming out of doing 25 sets of body part. There'd only be 2 body parts a day or 1. And 25 sets, I thought, how in the world did I ever do that? I do 12 now, and I get the same effect as I did with 25 because I'm older.
Well, and not only that, I also think that as you get more familiar with the exercise, you can actually get more benefit per set because you can focus better, you can contract the muscle better. In the beginning, you're sort of all over the place.
Right.
You get better at extracting more benefit from a set.
I'm sure at that time I was overtraining. I'd come home down Van Nuys Boulevard. I'd be falling asleep at stoplights.
Yeah, but we're full of natural testosterone and we're full of piss and vinegar, and you can do 40 sets of body part if you wanted to.
Yes.
You'll still survive. You try to do that now, and Oh, hell will break loose.
I had a girlfriend back then I trained in, and this is going back a long time ago. She was in awesome shape, and she was just really beautiful, and she wanted me to come over every night. And every night she would attack me and pull me into the bedroom. I said, you have to understand something, I'm exhausted. She said, well, I made you 6 bran muffins, eat those and get your energy up. So I did.
Or work out less, you would say, right?
Work out less. But I was exhausted, but she'd feed me these bran muffins all the time, don't you? I said, you know, they're going to make me go to the bathroom. They're not going to give me any more energy in the bedroom.
A lot of fiber, yeah.
A lot of fiber.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting to know. So volume is what it's about.
But, you know, Arthur Jones was a heck of a character, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Now, he didn't patent that idea. He was the first person to come up with this oblong pulley idea.
Right.
And he was encouraged to patent it, but he hated attorneys.
Yeah. He was a weird dude.
And as because of that fact, he refused. Now, of course, you know, everybody owns patent. Everyone owns that concept, and everyone can do it, right?
Yeah.
But he would have made more money than he did make if he would have patented and licensed the concept.
It was a whole different world back then. I mean, he reminded me of a short version of Howard Hughes, and then he reminded me of a version of the guy who shot, was it Kennedy? Harvey Oswald. He looked like him.
Yeah, he did look
like him. You see old black and white photos of him. But carried a gun. He was always fearful for his life, and someone was going to kill him. God knows why.
By the way, there's a new article that just came out that's called "Why Highly Intelligent People Are More Likely to Have Mental Illness."
Why is that?
I don't know, but he was obviously highly intelligent, and he probably was mentally ill.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are very, very, artists are oftentimes very, very creative, brilliant, but a little bit off balance.
Most of them.
Or depression, bipolar, something.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But
so if you're feeling a little crazy, it's probably because you're super smart.
Yeah, exactly. But you look at some of the people today that have so much fame and fortune, and you see them, and you know who they are, and I can't name all the names, but they're not happy people.
Yeah.
They're not happy.
Yeah, they have a pretty distorted perspective on things.
They do.
They should be really happy that they've arrived where they've arrived, and yet they're not.
No, and they're not. But the biggest thing ever, and for you guys out there and you and me, is that we were just talking about, how long we have to live.
Right.
And I was saying on my birth certificate, there's no expiration date.
It's wide open.
It's wide open. Yeah. But if we wake up healthy and we take care of ourselves every day of our life, that's the key to everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the biggest. Yeah. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to have the hardest muscle, but you got to have your health.
But I will say, though, that knowing that we have an expiration date, knowing that we have a certain limited amount of time,
right,
can be used productively, because ultimately what we all should be wanting is to say, well, how much time do I have left, and how much more life can I squeeze in there? How much more can I see? How much more can I learn? How much good can I do? How much more people can I benefit?
Right.
How much more money can I make? Whatever you want to do, don't waste any time, because time is limited.
Yeah, don't waste time. I mean, it's like I got a new knee and I'm walking, and I can walk faster, and I walk slow. I've always walked slow. My girlfriend says, why are you walking so slow? I said, there's no hurry to get there. That building's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll get there when I get there.
There's a fine line between cramming too much and cramming not enough.
Right. I mean, I don't want to go crazy and cram everything into it, but I want to enjoy my life like you do and you do out there. And every day should count to some degree. You should have a list. I always made a list of things I want to accomplish every day, and I go through that checklist to make sure they're all done. And so many people get it and want to say, I don't even know where to begin. What do I need to do? You got to have a list of something you're accomplishing. It's like a bucket list. Yeah. Things that you need to accomplish, and then next day you move ahead even more. Always keep your life moving in the right direction. If the train sits still on the track, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right. Hey, the other day I was listening to that. I don't know if you have ever heard the NPR show, the Tappert Brothers.
No.
They're known as the Car Guys, and they're brothers, right? And one of them has actually passed away now. So what we're listening to now are reruns. But these guys were such good hosts, and they were so funny, and they worked off each other so well. But I thought of us, and I thought we should take callers. Wouldn't it be great if we could take callers? People would call and ask about car problems, and then they would try to solve what's causing the car problem. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we could do that?
It's funny that you bring this up, because for all of you out there, I would like to do a live show maybe once a week and be able to have callers come in.
Wouldn't
I just
that be
have
great?
to figure out the media.
And just ask a question.
Right, and how to put it together.
And we'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, other people do it. There's no reason why.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, I want to thank you for being here.
Well, it's a pleasure being here always.
I think we worked out some facts here that you guys want to know, because you're always emailing me and asking me questions, and I like to answer everything that comes through.
But sometimes it's impossible. There's just too many questions.
All we can do is our best.
We can try our best.
And don't forget Doug's book, because it's a valuable piece of information here. You'll learn from it. And then if you read the whole book, Doug will contact you and he'll test you on it. If you get 100%,
exactly. He'll give you a quiz.
If he gives you 100%, you get a free bottle of protein tablets.
Or something. Desiccated liver.
Desiccated liver, right. Thanks for watching Risk Corner, and we'll see you next time.
Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com.
Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.